Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I am your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am KJ, the host of Great Talking Entertainment official channel. And now I'm going to do a spoiler review for the new Netflix series, Eric. It's a limited series, so there's only 6 episodes. And yes, this is a spoiler review. But I also just want to point out that I understand that they have all the episodes out. So please, if you have the kindness of your heart, please don't spoil it. This is just for people who are just a fan of me, of Great Talk and Entertainment, and enjoy my reviews. And I'm just going to review each episode day by day. And again, I know it's already out. Everybody's seen it. But don't spoil it like that. So this is a spoiler review, but don't spoil it to ruin somebody's enjoyment to hear the review. So that's all I ask. And I can't stop nobody. So I get it. But if you do, thank you so much for not doing it. Again, this is a spoiler review. So just in case, if you have not seen it, watch it, then come back, and then listen to the spoiler review. So y'all been warned. Let's get into it. Episode 1 starts with a kids show that has that classic live audience of group of people, especially most of the kids and their parents, and it gives you that reminder of those puppets like Sesame Street, the Muppets, Lamb Chop Play Along, any other, like, think of your favorite live puppet show from growing up as a child. That's how they set this up. And it's in the time where, like Sesame Street and Lamb Chop Play Along, anything like that would be, and that's usually around the 80s. That would be the 80s, because this did set up, because you see a lot of disco reference. You see, like, the era what New York looked like in the 80s. And obviously, like, Times Square wasn't what Times Square is right now in 2024, obviously. So it was a whole different year and era, which is, a dark time for a lot of communities. There's a lot of racism, hate crimes in this show, and it gets dark and gritty with it, and they're not afraid to bring up, topics. They're not afraid. The show's definitely not afraid to bring up the crime lords and how the police are within this series. So they don't hold back the punches, and it's very political, and it's a good show, and it has a lot of mixed reviews, as far as not like bad reviews, but just you can interpret this six episode limited series in many different ways. And I talked to a lot of people who see it differently, viewed it differently, got the ending out of this very differently. And so this episode kind of, gives you a little bit of that. So the show, on the puppet show that we see, Vincent or Eric, the show is called Good Day Sunshine, and Eric is a father and he's a husband, and he has some personal issues, and so far a lot of it comes from his father. So basically they're setting the tone up that the way you see Eric and his son, which we get introduced later on within this episode, the dynamics of he's raising his son without even realizing it, that he's doing the way his father raised Eric. So that's that type of storyline, father son storyline. And how does he, in his mind, Eric, who I'm talking about now, is trying to raise his son a lot better than his fathers did. But throughout this whole episode and series, we see that he has a lot of demons that he's dealing with. And episode 1 so far, it starts off with like, it looks like a normal family, busy day, everybody's going to work, child goes to school, there is some bickering, but not like that. But I didn't think, or the audience as well didn't think, that the arguments and topics that the husband and the wife, which would be Eric and Cassie, we didn't know how deep the wounds were within this. So again, it starts off, very fun and friendly. And we learn that his father is, I forget what his father does, but it's very political, more government. And he has a lot of pull of how New York is run. And this shows that Eric's not a fan of politics. And throughout each episode, we see scenes where he expresses how he feels. And, he talks to certain, I believe, mayor or the government of New York. And we see that his anger leads him to his puppet show a lot. And again, this is when they flip the coin and reality hits, and there's a huge distance between him and his son Igor. And this episode continues on showing that the way Igor and his dad have this relationship going on, and how it's so distant. And this is somewhat the reason why he gets abducted. And we also see that Eric is an alcoholic, and him and his marriage with his wife is not doing so great. And as we're watching this, you see Eric and his wife struggle in different ways. And what that means is, like, without this, just showing this is like, they're going to show the view through the eyes of the wife and then the eyes of the husband / father. And then we're going to see through the child's eyes. And that's how they're setting the tone up. And so far, you don't know who to trust as the narrator, because when you see Eric act and behave, you can catch yourself feeling sorry for him or against him or rooting for him. But before I go on to that next topic, but whatever choice you choose of viewing the way you perceive Eric, you may be like, okay, maybe the wife / the mom, she's being too harsh. Maybe she's not being realistic. She's not thinking. All she's doing is crying, worrying about her son. But then, just like this episode 1, of course, we look through the eye lens of the wife, Cassie. And this is, again, you can interpret it as you're on her side, you agree with her, you disagree with her, or you just don't like her at all, because they're handling their son abduction too differently. Because we see Eric, he had so many missed calls because he was so busy and purposely didn't want to talk to his wife, because he just purposely, we see that he can't deal with everyday issues and problems, and he goes to alcohol, and he's very harsh on his coworkers. And we see that throughout this whole episode and the next episode, throughout the whole series, basically. And it's very interesting to see that, because as soon as he got the note that, hey, our son didn't come home, our son wasn't even at school, and he's abducted. And then we have these three suspects of who done it, which would be the landlord, a secret lover of Eric's wife, Cassie. And who is he? What does he do? Obviously, looks like he's a food truck, and he looks like a nice guy. And so does the landlord. So already they're trying to show us the first suspects of this all. Also, we get introduced to Detective Michael, and he's a African American detective, and obviously he's in the department of missing people, and you can already tell that throughout this series and story that he's going to have some difficult challenges, and he's going to have some hard times with this case. So it's already set it up, and now you're on the edge of your seat, or your eyes are glued on the TV. I mean, this thing's got it all, and there's a lot to unpack. So let's get into some topics. Let's talk about the suspects. So we know that at this almost to the end of the episode, that the detective knows there's this club who is known for missing childs, because a lot of young men, young boys, or young girls go in this club and bad things happen. And so there's a guy named Gator who is out of prison, but he owns this club. And of course, the detectives, he's asking questions, and obviously Gator's not going to give the right answer or tell him what he wants, because this is a type of club that it's a club on the out as a front, but what they do behind the scenes is a whole different drug lord, scheming, drug dealing, money heist type thing. And so, he's playing hard to get, obviously. But we also noticed that these two have history between each other. And the detective has history with this club. And it seems like there's a deeper type of friendship. And, we see Gator and the detective really kind of somewhat close. And it's very interesting where they may go with that. Also, too, in this episode, before the episode ended, they revealed that the detective has a secret lover, and he has an obsession of an old case that didn't work out that's very related to this club. And so there's again, the reason why they put this in there too is they're helping you realize this is not in the 2000s. And also they showed like how much the homeless population in New York was in the 80s. And I'm not saying I'm not saying it's gotten better in this era or nothing, but I'm just saying on this show they're already explaining like what New York is and the subways. Like it this is where it gets tricky with it. And now they're adding this story too. And why they add it, because it helps the whole series out and to understand like the danger that the child could be in, but also shows too within this series that it's the old cliche thing: never judge a book by its cover. It's the people who you think might done it, and they're the most innocent, kind people. And we see this a lot through these episodes, and there's a lot of twists and turns within it. Now, what I thought about this episode 1 so far, I liked what they're doing, and I also enjoyed the actors and actress. I thought their dialogue was on point, and I think their performance is really good. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did very well. I thought he delivered this show really well, and his performance was amazing on this. And he really, to me, steered the audience, including mine's emotions, to feel the way we needed to feel throughout the whole series. And I thought, man, he was just so believable. Like the sadness, the anger, the happiness, him just going crazy again, like how like because the character Vincent he plays, his son's imaginary friend comes to life in a way. He starts hallucinating, and because within that episode, it was very interesting to see how his son truly felt about him and that too, and all that drinking he did, and somehow he started hallucinating, and so to me, I just thought, wow, this is neat. Like, and he also like is voice acting the puppet Eric, and I thought he did an amazing job with that too. And so basically, in a way, he's playing two different roles. And also, Gabby Hoffman did really well, I thought, throughout this series too, and you'll see why in episode 2, spoiler review, that Gabby really brought that performance out. Like, I think this show, I'll say it or this earlier, that this show definitely deserves an Oscar, and those two definitely need to get one, because the way Gabby played the mother, just like I just said about Benedict, that she also, to me, she brought that character to life, and she did a hell of a performance on this. Just to see her portray a mom that's just so worried, so worked up, trying to keep hope, but also losing hope, and like you could tell that she's losing her mind, but not like Vincent, not like him, and it just gets nuts. And these two really carried this show to make it as good as it was. And I mean, everybody and the rest of the cast did well too. I mean, they were awesome at it too. I'm not hating on nobody. I thought everybody brought their A game on this. But what an amazing story this is being told. And episode 1 just really got me hooked on. Like, they started with, getting all the introductions in, but now already within this episode they're just showing like what's to come, and expect the worst of the worst to happen. So I'm definitely loving this. So if I had to give episode 1 out of 10, I'm giving it a 10, baby. This is really great. I just love the visuals to this, the cinema photography to this. Just how they made New York look like New York in the 80s. It's beautiful. Even when it's ugly and night out, it's beautiful. Like, just very artistic. I also just like how I tell you, I felt like I was in that era. Like, geez, it was that good to me. So this was good. And I was very excited watching this whole series. So, but that's my review for episode 1. Stay tuned and be on the lookout for episode 2 of Eric spoiler review. So thank you so much, guys. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you, guys. Peace out.